Yeah, the Advent Peach calendar, day 16, is also going to be a hobby update. And yeah, I'm showing off a little bit of the stuff I've done, showing off these Bloodbowl Orcs right here. What I've done, I've done the browns, the straps, some of their boots, and I plan on flocking these guys and then putting on the decals, and then these 4 test models for the Orc Blood Bowl team is going to be done. And I think they look really nice. Um, you know, I think I did a really good job. I think the red really pops. And yeah, I'm gonna base them the exact same way I did the human team. But something that's even more fun than those things are my converted rogue riders. And if anyone has a good memory or has been around for 8 years, the very first video I posted 8 years ago was me showing off my conversion of the Reichland Knights into Rogue Riders. So that is 8 years in the making. And I'm using, bits from, well, obviously the Reichland Knights, but also the Militarum Tempestus, the Tempestus guys. I mixed those two. And these 3 knights here are kind of me testing out to see how I want them to look. And yeah, I'm using the sergeant of the unit as a test model as well. It's gonna be pretty hard to know, kind of like, okay, how do I want to make the gray and the pink, the purple? Where do I want to put it? How do I want to do it? Like, okay, the horse armor, gray, but it makes it so that it becomes very forward, where you can put the colors. So, which is why I put, some gold, and I'm probably gonna put pink where there is silver right there, just to get a little bit of pink on the back, but it's gonna be a little bit, I think. I like the gold head plate, because these guys are a bit more rich than my normal, guards in my army. So I want to introduce a bit more gold and bright silvers, not like dulled down. I want to limit the amount of black that their guns have. Like, for example, if I show this guy, his gold, he has a golden gun. And I might make it so that, the sleeve he has his gun in, maybe that will be black. I'll wait to paint that. At the moment it is black. But I'll wait to decide if I want it to maybe be brown, like a brown sleeve. After I've done everything. Because it should be decently easy to paint it without destroying what I've already painted. And if I show these 2 horses, you can probably tell that on this one, I used, I think I actually used it. Let me show. Oh fuck, I just stabbed myself with his lance. This 2-part Agrax, 2-part Striking Flesh Shade, I'm in medium, and just 5 drops of blue shade, which doesn't make any difference. This was like a general flesh combination that I found from someone on YouTube, don't remember what. But it is pretty good as just an universal shade. But I think it makes them look a bit too dirty, for what I want with these guys. I think I prefer The thing that I did... Oh, not on you. Here we go. The thing that I did on this guy was just 1 part Agrax, 1 part null oil. I think it makes the gray pop up a bit more. I've only done it on the horse armor, that is, so far. Yeah, but the progress on these 3 guys are going pretty good. I do have bases for them as well, because I don't think I'm gonna keep them on the Reichland Knight bases. I'm gonna use those bases now when I'm paint, but I do have a lot of these bases. These are 75 by 42 millimeter bases, which I assume is probably gonna be a bit big. I mean, not only for these, but compared to like the new bases that the new Rogue Riders. My assumption is that the Rogue Rider is going to be on 60 mil instead of the 72 mil, but I don't. These are the bases I have for them, and I think I want them all to have a little bit of a bigger base. I mean, sure, the thing that the bigger bases does, if I were to play with them, it would make it so that I'm a bit on disadvantage because I won't be able to get as many attacks. But I don't care about that. These guys are not really, in my mind, supposed to be that very effective. They're just, rich guys, like richer people in my army whose job is to just pick off weaker opponents. They aren't really used, like, you don't expect these guys to actually win a battle. Kind of like how the Romans used their cavalry forces. I guess the way I'm thinking of these are a little bit inspired by that. Not in how they look, but like the lore that I have for these guys. So the bigger bases, I don't mind. And there are 11 bases, because in these things they came 6 in a pack, and there's 11 here. Because one of the bases I've here, and it is drying, and this is the old Games Workshop snow effect. I'm, using it up, because this is gonna become on one of my Seraphon Knights bases, like a special character that I'm gonna convert. He's gonna get this base, because this base is going to be a bit bigger than the normal knights, because the normal knights come on 60 mil oval bases, while this is a 75. So it's gonna help just make him stand out a bit more. And I'm gonna make this into like a jungle foresty base, we'll see. And when it comes to the Sterling mud right here, it was very dry, and I added, let's see, some white ink and some medium into it and mixed it very well. And I think I've saved the paint. I mean, it's a bit wet, so I'm gonna let it, work its magic, try and absorb as much of the liquid, because it was very, very wet. Very, very dry. So I added these amount just to reintroduce some liquid to this texture paint. Because, I want to use these, right? Because I bought them. But I will say they've done pretty well. I mean, Jesus Christ, these are probably like 6 years old, and they're still okay. I mean, I think the environment I have probably really helps with the GW bottles, because I've never really had the problems of the paints drying out as some people have. and this is almost empty, but I think I'm pretty lucky in the fact that when it comes to that, even though I do plan, I mean, I'm in the process of, you know, making it so that the paint brand that I have is basically watercolors, but I'm not loyal to just one brand. I mean, I use anything, you know. I think there's really no need to be loyal to one brand. I think whatever brand you pick, you're probably gonna have successes with them. Then depending on certain stuff, you know, like the GW washes, or at least the old one, I know that they have done something new with their washes or their shades. So I don't know how the new shades of Games Workshop work, since I don't have any. And I don't really have like any need for them, since I do have enough, and I want to try out in the future like other companies' shades. Like, for example, I haven't tried a single watercolor shade either, and I don't use shades as much as I used to, because now how I use shades, instead of just doing it all over the model, I tend to be more strategic with them. Like, for example, when I show this right here, like, don't really need to put it over the entire gray and then repaint the gray. I put it kind of like where I want it to be. On certain areas, obviously, I'm going to put it all over. Like, for example, on this shale mail right here, I'm going to put it all over. And I'm going to put Druchii Violet all over this guy. So, there are things that I'm going to do, you know, all over. Now, that reminds me, since I did buy a bunch of paint from Watercolors, I should have bought, I think, man, damn, did I do that? Should have bought one of their purple shades and seen how it works in comparison to Druchii Violet. Because Druchii Violet mixed like 1-to-1 with Lamian Medium is what I use for my army's purple pink. And it really helps with that, because I use this as a base coat, Druchii Violet and Lamian Medium in the middle, and then if I want to dry brush something, I use this pink one. That's how my recipe is. It has also been that on cloth, while on non-cloth it has only been this. And we'll see if I'm gonna do that with these guys, because they're gonna get an all-over wash of Druchii Violet. Then, maybe to differentiate between their armor, maybe I'm gonna use re-highlight with this instead of the pink one. We'll see what I do. Maybe I'll do pink one on like the feathers and all that, so they get a little bit of a different pink. That's the thing about using, you know, more than one test model. You can try out that stuff and see what you like. There you go. And then when it comes to the orcs, I mean, I'm gonna put down their decals and the bases, and they're done. And even my orcs, I can show. I mean, I've done some-ish converting, like I removed one of these guys' fingers. Decided to paint, you know, these a bit different. And I also damaged that one. You know, even did a little bit difference on this right here. I added this spike. And I removed these two spikes. So there's some just very simple things you can do to make like these two models that look the same, look different. Like, for example, this orc right here is an orc that does not believe in spiky things. So I removed all his spikes that he has, you know. And on his blade, he just uses knuckle dusters. And this thing right here, I kind of regret removing it the way I did. I don't regret doing the holes. I think the holes are really good, actually. We'll see how it works. I'm probably gonna have to put the number on this guy on someplace else instead of where I plan on putting these things on the normal orcs. But